Welcome, guys. We are live today. It's just me, not Brian, but we had the first part yesterday. We had a huge success. Thank you for the 130 people we had on the stream yesterday. I think we had 130. Hold on, I can check right now. I'll tell you. We had 138. That was a huge success. Let's see if we get 90 or 100 more tonight. Yeah. We are here at the draft. We'll see what picks we're going for. All right, it's about to start now. All right, hold on. All right, present. There we go.
It's not just stars.
This is the meat of the roster,
Right.
and so let's get you now to
Here we go.
Brooklyn for night 2 of the NBA draft.
All right, we're here.
Welcome back
Day
to
2.
Barclays Center, which for the first time will host the second night of the NBA draft.
Let's go.
This class, it was headlined by Cooper Flagg
Cooper
out of
Flagg
Duke,
was the
but the
first
second
class
round
guy.
has long been fertile ground for hidden gems. Players passed over ones who grow
I didn't
in
like
the
the pick the
cornerstones.
Celtics
We've
made
seen
last night, but
MVPs,
tonight better go better.
Players of the Year, even champions
I won't head off
emerged
this
from
last
these picks.
night, but-
Just ask the Oklahoma City Thunder, who leaned on 4 second-rounders during their run to a championship. Could the next one be waiting to hear his name called tonight?
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select
Last
Cooper
picks were
Flagg.
Liam McNeely,
Feels
who I
surreal.
wanted. Went
I'm
to
just
the
playing
Suns,
the
traded
moments
for
back in my
Wendell,
head,
and then
and it went so fast.
Now
Last
Hauser.
night, a new generation stepped into the spotlight,
Second. So first pick goes to the
and history
Suns.
added another
Second
chapter.
pick is the
I'm
Celtics.
just excited, honestly,
So
just
by
ready for this
quickly
new
the
journey in my
first
life.
Hopefully they could trade to get a second pick in the second round. They don't just have to draft this first. They do
Tonight,
need a power
there's
forward.
more work to pay off, and greatness ain't dictated by a number on the board.
Could use a
The
shooting guard.
57th selection.
Use a shooting
It's
guard.
about rewriting what's possible, redefining
Height
expectations,
is right here.
and turning overlooked into undeniable. All it takes is an opportunity. It's on you to
Can't
seize it.
believe you guys keep
This is round 2 of the NBA Draft.
Welcome to the NBA Draft 2025, presented by State Farm. 12 young men sit with their families tonight inside Barclays Center. Over the next few
12.
hours, they hope to hear their names called for the chance to play on basketball's biggest stage and join a fraternity that grew by 30 on Wednesday evening. The night began with the moment that fans had been waiting for: Cooper Flagg being selected first by the Mavericks and teammates being selected. Another theme in the first round with Rutgers' Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey being selected second and fifth, and a record 18 freshmen heard their names called. Plus, Shams warned us to keep our notifications on. 5 trades were made for
Guys,
first
I want
rounders,
our
which brings
cookie
us to
parade.
tonight, the second day of the
Dylan
NBA
Moore.
draft. It's the second time it has been spread over multiple
Those are the
evenings, and
guys.
we will be with you through it all,
Jay Billis,
alongside
Bob
our
Myers,
analyst,
Malika,
Jay Billis, our
Bobby,
senior
Mike,
writer, Brian Windhorst,
Windhorst.
and you guys who know a thing or two about making these
John
sorts of
Choate,
picks, our front
you
office
good,
insider,
Alex
Bobby Marks, and the architect of the 4-time champion Golden State Warriors, Bob Myers. Bob, I think we can
Point guard,
wait just a moment to
Zion
get
James.
into the second round a little bit. Let's start with last night and what we learned. Of course, Cooper Flagg was the headline of
the
this
point
draft.
guard.
Yeah, well,
Johnson.
I've had a lot of Cooper Flagg lately. I'm sure everybody's heard all about him. I think what makes him
Make him
different
more
is, as an executive, and Bobby knows this, when you watch the draft, you're always looking at who got better, right? Who's my competition? That's at least what I did when I was there. And the unique thing about Cooper Flagg, Malika, is he impacts winning. More so than a lot of players. I'm going to say something that might be controversial. Victor Wembanyama got a lot of attention to be number 1 pick from the other side,
years.
and that's what I think makes him so unique. He's going to impact, and he went to a team
Yeah.
that is a very good team already.
And I think that's what's so unique as well. We don't often see the number 1 pick being made by a team that is also expected to make a playoff push here. And certainly that's what fans wanted to see. We saw it in the numbers. Millions of people tuned in to see the moment that Cooper Flagg heard his name called here by Dallas. But around league circles, Brian Windhorst, it's not necessarily the Mavericks that everybody is talking about.
Yeah, the Pelicans certainly made an impression. My phone lit up overnight as people
Pelicans
looked at
actually
the
did
high
it
leverage
last night,
situation they
so
left
it's the
themselves in
Jazz.
last night. on one hand, they acquired 2 lottery picks
Raptors.
and have reshaped their roster, going after Jeremiah Fears and then getting Derek Queen, moving up 10 spots in that draft. However, the price that they paid to move those 10 spots up, potentially trading a lottery pick next year, depending on how the Pelicans and Milwaukee Bucks, they get the better of the 2 picks a year from now, created a lot of reaction. They felt like that was a very big risk. But hey, it could go either way. Derek Queen could come into the NBA and be an instant impact player, or a year from now, the Pelicans could have egg on their face.
We haven't even hit June 30th yet, and Atlanta's already my unofficial winners of the offseason here. It started with the Kristaps Porzingis trade the other night, and then, of course, the trade with New Orleans. Asa Newell, who they get as that long, athletic big. Brian mentioned that 2026 pick that could be either New Orleans or Milwaukee. I was looking at my own notes. I didn't realize they even had a 2027 pick for Milwaukee or Atlanta the following year. That's top 5 protected. So they basically control 2 years of those teams' picks there.
Wow.
Atlanta's going to be active in free agency. They're going to add some backcourt depth. They've got a large trade exception to go out and utilize. Keep an eye on the Hawks in the next couple days.
It feels like the Atlanta Hawks looked around and said, okay, the Eastern Conference, it feels more wide open than they thought it was going to be even a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago. And they decided, you know what, we want to push in right now and see if we can make a real push. Before we get to the second round, I do want to bring in our draft expert, Jonathan Gavoni, here, because Jonathan, we are hearing that maybe there was a lot of folks that were caught off guard by the fact that Ace Bailey is going to Utah at 5. How is he feeling about what happened in Utah?
Malika, we're still waiting to hear on that from him, but as many of our viewers might be aware, Ace Bailey did not conduct a single known visit or workout with an NBA team. He was clearly determined to steer himself to a team outside the top 5. Many around the NBA believe that to be the Washington Wizards. I was told that his agent, Omar Cooper, told at least one team in the top 5 before the draft that his client will not report if they decide to draft him. Now, the Utah Jazz selected him regardless of all this, and now the big question is, are we going to see him in Utah anytime soon? I asked Omar Cooper his thoughts on his client's future in Utah, and he declined to answer those questions. He told me there's nothing uncommon about Ace Bailey's pre-draft process. 18 teams interviewed him. They all saw him work out at the NBA Draft Combine. They all have his medicals, his measurements. He's not the first player to decline or cancel workouts, which is absolutely true. Now, a press conference is scheduled in the near future for Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. We're all going to see what comes of that, if we get any more answers from Ace Bailey about what happened the past few months.
I really appreciate that insight there, Jonathan. Thank you. Jay, you watched Ace play all through college. You called him one of the most talented players in this draft. What do you make of all of this?
It's odd not showing up right after you're drafted. Usually there's a press conference the next day. Everybody flies in that was drafted. So it's unusual. But if he wants to make an issue of this, he's going to have to sit out. And I'm not sure that's the right thing for a young player to do. But, he's got the choice to do it. He's not really a member of the union yet, but he's protected by the union.
Right.
So the Jazz are going to draft tonight with 53rd pick, and they are expecting that player, Walter Clayton, and Ace Bailey on Monday at the beginning of training camp for Summer League.
And part of that is they're going to tender him a rookie tender. That will make him, they'll have his rights to his contract. 4 years, $40 million is a rookie contract for the 5th pick in the draft, including a $9 million salary this year. I'm not sure Ace Bailey really wants to forfeit that.
Interesting. All right, so that's a situation we'll continue to monitor. I want to bring in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, another surprise, Duke big man Kaman Malawach going to Phoenix at 10, but then they traded for Mark Williams, another center, just a little bit later. Take us inside this approach to draft multiple centers here, to acquire multiple centers, rather.
So all of this has to do with even tonight at pick number 31. The Minnesota Timberwolves essentially had an auction for that pick, and so the Suns have now jumped in to get that 31 overall pick for the number 36 pick, as well as 2 future second-round picks. And so why did the Suns move up tonight to number 31? Because I'm told the Celtics were going to take Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's at number 31. So now the Suns have jumped to 31, and now they will be really considering Rasheer Fleming at that selection. That's on the heels of, as you just mentioned, drafting Kaman Malawach last night, and then within minutes acquiring Mark Williams in a trade. We know the Suns had major issues at center last season, and issues with their size. They've done a good job here of getting 2 high upside big men. Remember, their new head coach, Jordan Ott, in Cleveland, they played Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And so look for them to play a lot more size at that center and power forward position this upcoming season. So post Kevin Durant trade to the Houston Rockets, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Mark Williams, potentially Rasheer Fleming, as well as Kaman Malawach, some other assets as well.
And the Suns training up here to the 31st pick in this second round. But when I think back to last night, gentlemen, I think of the tears. I think of the laughter and the raw emotion. You phrased it really well, Jay. You said that this is one of the more emotional nights that we've seen in the draft. And look at these faces. They're faces of pride, of relief, of joy. It's the heart of the draft. Lives that are changing in real time for players and for the people who got them here. It's a story that carries through every draft, but I think we saw it in a more unbridled way than in previous years. And tonight, 29 others are hoping to join those first rounders. And just because this is the second round, it doesn't mean teams can't strike gold. Jalen Brunson, drafted in the second round. He's made a name for himself as one of the best clutch players in the game. Chris Middleton, a champion with the Milwaukee Bucks that just signed a lucrative extension with the Washington Wizards. You have Nikola Jokic, a champion, an MVP, and of course, Draymond Green, who, Bob, you are uniquely positioned to talk about finding Draymond Green in the second round. You drafted him. So give us your insight here. How do you find those gems here in the second round?
Well, first of all, I should have drafted him in the first round because I had a pick. Let's just be clear. Look, this is a message for everybody in this room and everybody that might be picked tonight. We used to have guys, Bobby, show up. Once you get drafted, nobody cares from the team side what number you. We don't care.
Although Draymond can still name every single person.
But you know what? That Malika, that was his motivation.
Yeah.
And he used it well. And we saw in the introduction, we're not talking about just good players. We're talking about Hall of Fame players. Manu Ginobili. We're talking about MVP, Nikola Jokic, Draymond Green. These are not just great players. They're champions. They're all-stars. They made more money than you can imagine. So for players that are going to get drafted tonight, realistically, yes, it's a number, and yes, the guys that are drafted higher make more money, but the real job starts after you're drafted, and then it's an even playing field. A guy like Draymond Green, he beat out somebody in front of him and never looked back and went on and has had a tremendous career. So the second round oftentimes is the time where you can separate yourself as an organization and find these guys, because I will tell you, every year, the NBA GMs work very hard, but we always miss on. We always look back, and when you redraft, there's always some second rounders that should have gone a lot higher, and that's what makes tonight so fun.
What was your celebration when you hit on a pick? What was it? Were you like a high fiver? Were you a fist?
Well, you don't know when you hit on a pick. I mean, we see all these guys high fiving. You have to pretend like you know. I don't know. I hope all these guys are great.
When
I hope they can all play.
When did you know about Draymond? Because Steve Kerr didn't necessarily have him slotted for a whole bunch of minutes early on.
No, Draymond. I'll tell you what's different. Malika. It used to be even Steph Curry got criticized for not being a point guard. You guys remember that? He's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. What does that even mean? And Draymond, when we drafted him, what position does he play? What position? And you used to get criticized, and from that time on, and Draymond helped change this narrative. He could play basketball. So nowadays, we value versatility. We say he can play 3, 4, 5. And the problem with that Draymond, nobody knew what position he was. Even Steve Kerr didn't know what position he was.
He played winner.
He played winner. That's right. And if you can play winner, you can play. And so it was fascinating to watch, even when Steve showed up as our coach. He said, I don't know where to play this guy. And I said, you're going to play him. It doesn't matter. Like you said, coaches love guys that compete and can play multiple ways, and obviously he's one of them.
There are winners in this room. There are incredibly talented basketball players, to Bob's point here, not necessarily regardless of position in this room. Who are you looking at as the best available here, Jay?
Well, it starts with Rasheer Fleming of St. Joseph's. I thought he was going to be taken in the first round, a 3-and-D guy with great length and athleticism, can knock down a perimeter shot. Maxime Renaud from Stanford, who is a 20-and-10 guy, an outstanding rebounder, and can really stretch the floor as a big guy. Maybe the best shot blocker available. Ryan Kalkbrenner, 4 times Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Adu Thero, and from Arkansas, started his career at Kentucky, a driver, slasher, big, strong. And then Chaz Lanier is the best shooter from Tennessee. Spent his first 4 years at Northern Florida.
So those are certainly some of the gentlemen that we could hear their name called tonight. Brian, when you think about second-round picks, and you think about, I think about chips on shoulders and the perseverance that it takes to take it to the next level in the NBA. What do you think of?
I think second-round picks especially can help competitive teams, because a lot of times the teams that are competing for the championships have already traded their first-round picks. So a lot of guys, or maybe guys in this room tonight, who end up playing big roles in the playoffs just in a year from now.
Well, you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder, that was part of their calling card. Even the Indiana Pacers, that was part of their backbone, their identity as two teams that were just in the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. And one of the things is when you are in this second round, sometimes it means you played a little bit more in college. You might be a little bit more ready to come in and step in right away.
And we've seen a little bit of a shift in the second round. It used to be you get drafted in the second round, you're on an NBA roster automatically. The two-way rule has really taken a little bit of a bite at players on standard contracts. 15 players last year on standard contracts, 10 on two-ways. So we might see a little bit of a shift.
We're going to come back to that just to make sure that we explain exactly what it is that a two-way contract is, because I think that can be confusing sometimes when you hear these terms flying around. But let's get this second round officially started. It's just about time to send it over to the podium and Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum to get the festivities started for the second night of the 2025 NBA Draft.
Good evening and welcome to the second round of the 2025 NBA Draft presented by State Farm. Day 2 of the draft is being held at Barclays Center, right here in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Last night, we watched 30 players join the NBA family, and today we usher in another group of great players from around the world. Thank you to all the players here this evening who've come to see their dreams fulfilled. So let's get the second round started. The 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have 4 minutes to make their selection.
One day we're going to flip it where everyone wears the hats that they're actually going to. Remember, Minnesota is on the clock, but this pick is actually going to the Phoenix Suns, Brian.
They worked really hard to get this pick. The player that they're about to take, they got up this morning and worked hard to get it. They made 3 separate trades. They had 2 picks in the 50s. They acquired picks 36 and 41 and then swapped those with a couple extra second rounders to get to 31. They wanted this player very badly. Negotiate hard, young man. Get that extra money.
Well, let me just ask Bobby, because he keeps track of all this stuff. 24 hours ago, the Suns had the 10th pick, right? Which we knew they were going to draft. Then they had a future first, and they had 7 seconds.
They had 6 seconds, and they also had the 29th pick in the draft.
And now what do we?
We have 2 seconds.
2 seconds
and,
left.
No tradable first left. But listen.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's wrong.
No, it doesn't. And we've talked about Phoenix as far as should they tear it down? What are they going to do? They're kind of in that in-between stage as far as with Kevin Durant trade and everything. They still have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, and they're kind of in a win-now mode, and they've got to figure out, do they have win-now players?
Right, and that's sort of the thing where they've been trying to say, we're not going to make this an entire rebuild here, Brian. We want to
They can't. They don't control their draft picks.
Exactly.
So they must go forward.
Exactly. They need to continue to build around Devin Booker here. They brought in 2 centers, again, drafting Malawach and then very, very quickly bringing in Mark Williams. I'm very curious how that is going to continue.
Well, I think we all. That's the question, right? You make all these moves, you give up draft capital, then you got to hit on the picks or the trades, and is what they did. And who's to say they're not? Nobody knows the answer to that yet. But when you use up your draft capital, you need to live with what you bought. And they're buying players now, they're signing players now, they're trading for players.
The worst thing you could have in the NBA is have no options. When you have no options, it puts you in an awfully bad spot, and it makes you make awfully bad decisions.
There's going to be big Phoenix Suns moves in the next 10 days. I believe that Devin Booker is, lined up to sign a massive contract extension. So they're going to invest in Devin Booker, and if they're going to invest in Devin Booker to the tune of $70 million a year, then they have to make sure he's got guys around him, and that's why they invested in getting the 10th pick, and that's why they're investing right now in getting the 31st.
Brian, there's going to be big news on the Phoenix Suns in the next 3 minutes with this pick that they are on the clock for. When you're looking at the player that you think would best fit there, Jay, who is that?
It's not necessarily fit. I think Rasheer Fleming is the best player on the board right now. I thought he should have been a first-round draft pick. But there are certainly other options. I mean, the best shooter, I think we mentioned, is Chaz Lanier of Tennessee. He can shoot it off screens. He can catch and shoot. He's got deep range. I mean, they ran a ton of floppy action for him, and he was running all over the court getting shots. I mean, Tennessee, I mean, they got Dalton Connect through the transfer portal, and they turn around and get Chaz Lanier from North Florida. They got they find Roy Hobbs every time they turn around and turn a corner.
And when you're looking at joining Devin Booker, coming into an organization that is expected to win in a crowded Western Conference, still finding the definition of what that path looks like to win, Bob, how does a young player come into that environment?
They played rookies last year, Malika, even with Durant on the team, Brad Beal. They had a veteran team, and rookies found a way to play. And so this is an opportunity. All these guys they drafted, there's playing time available in Phoenix.
Yeah, Ryan Dunn is one of them. They hit in the first round. Oso Ighodaro in the second round. It was a similar pattern as far as last year, as far as how they traded up to pick 39 to go out and get them.
And Phoenix, again, when you're talking about, I've said it a couple of times already, but the West is a tough place to play right now.
I'll tell you one thing I've never heard a coach say. I'm not going to play this guy because we took him in the second round. They play the players that help them win. It doesn't matter. And when you're a GM, yeah, you take a guy high, you want him to play, but it doesn't work. It's whoever can play plays.
Well, the pick is in. Again, this pick is headed to the Phoenix Suns. Let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's University.
Rasheer Fleming from Camden, New Jersey, just 2 hours down the turnpike from where his NBA dream is being realized here. Rasheer is the oldest of several siblings, played at Camden High School for now Nick's assistant coach, Rick Brunson. And the 6'8" wing out of St. Joseph's, he's a self-proclaimed late bloomer. He went through the draft process last year, had 5 workouts. He said he learned a lot, wanted to apply it this season. He describes himself, Jay, as super coachable, willing to play multiple positions, do what it takes to win. Not to mention, he did have the second fastest shuttle run at the draft combine.
Yeah, clearly he's athletic and just crazy length. He's got a 7'5" wingspan, really versatile on the defensive end. Rasheer Fleming was the only player in the country to have over 40 dunks and over 50 made threes on the season. He shot 39% from 3. He's hit 62 of them on the year. He's versatile. You know, you call him a 3-and-D wing, but a multi-positional defender that's very disruptive. He's a floor spacer, a really good cutter. And he's one of those players that a lot of people say could be better in the NBA than he was in college. And he was very good in college. Had 9 double-doubles. He had a 20-rebound game against Texas. He's got a lot of ability.
And he is standing by with our Monica McNutt. Monica?
Rasheer, congratulations. You took the additional steps to take your time to go back and improve. Now you're here realizing a dream tonight. What's going through your mind?
I've never done anything like this in my life. Like, this is this is a crazy experience for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's I don't know what this is.
All right, well, let's talk basketball, right? That's such a genuine reaction, but let's talk about the basketball, right? You are talented, you are versatile, can defend multiple positions. What are you going to bring to the organization that you're joining, the Phoenix Suns?
First off, just so much effort. Like, regardless if anything goes wrong, if I'm not making shots, anything, which I doubt, you're gonna get a lot of effort out of me. Like, I'm gonna continue to play hard.
Doubting that you were going to miss shots was very slick. I heard that. Congratulations, Rasheer.
Appreciate it.
I think I'm only going to get at least.
Thank you. I love that. I'm not going to miss many shots. That's the confidence you want going into the NBA. And now it's the Boston Celtics that are on the clock. It's pretty astonishing, Brian, the difference that the Boston Celtics were sitting in, the position they were sitting in a year ago versus where they are now. Jason Tatum out for an extended period of time. They just traded away Kristaps Porzingis, Jrue Holiday, and I think there's a lot of questions. You had reported earlier they're fielding calls, not necessarily taking them, but fielding calls on Derek White as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to stick with their core guys, but they knew that 2025 was going to be a time where they were going to have to probably cut off some payroll. They knew that for 3 years when they did those contracts with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But it's been a little bit tougher than they experienced because now they can't afford to pay for a team that they don't know if they can win the whole thing.
Brian, thank you. Let's bring in our senior insider, Shams Charania, who has news on this pick. Shams, what's up?
Malika, so this pick, number 32, is actually being traded to the Orlando Magic. So the Orlando Magic are sending numbers 46 and 57 in tonight's draft, as well as 2 other second-round picks in 2026 and 2027. And so tonight's pick here at 32 is Orlando.
All right, so
that's a big price.
Taking our
that's a big price they just paid, which makes me wonder if there wasn't I don't know, but it makes me wonder if there wasn't some competition between teams.
Do you think any team in the second round will actually make their own pick?
I wouldn't be surprised.
We're going to run out of ink soon on these pens, Bob.
These picks fly around a little bit. It says Boston on the hat, at least for now, so I want to stick with Boston for just a moment. We do know that this pick is going to Orlando, who kind of was the catalyst to start the offseason in a lot of ways with that Desmond Bane trade. But Boston, Bob, it just goes to show you, you talk about, even right now, we're talking with Oklahoma City about how many championships can they win after they win one. You never know how small that window is going to be.
Well, you don't, because what we do is whoever wins the championship, we think they're going to win it again and again and again. We know it when Milwaukee won it. We're going to win 3 more. When Denver won it, we're looking at a dynasty. When Boston won it, nobody's going to be Boston. Now we're saying about Oklahoma City. Now, Oklahoma City is the youngest team to do it for sure. But what you're seeing when Boston is probably what we're going to see more and more in the future with these teams that win it. You load up, you get the role players, you have high-priced stars. But then you take a shot for 1 or 2 years. If it doesn't work, you got to unwind some of that. You just can't keep players like you used to because of the second apron. It used to just be money. Not that money doesn't matter. It used to be the owners just paying extra money. Now you can't make trades. You go over that second apron. It really hinders your ability to do things.
This pick is actually heading to Orlando. Mark Tatum is at the podium.
With the 32nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Noah Penda from Bondy, France, and Francis Lemon.
Penda, who was born in France and comes to the NBA from France's top league, joined several French players already selected in the 2025 draft here. Both of his parents were professional basketball players, and Noah says he tries to really be a Swiss Army knife for his teams. Jonathan, you have noted his versatility. You think that he could really be a sleeper in this draft as he makes his way to the podium here, thanking his friends and family for his moment with Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum.
Malika, first of all, the Orlando Magic are keeping this pick, and Noah Penda will be on their roster next year. A bunch of teams were hoping to stash Noah Penda for a year, but he had no interest in that. He's coming to the NBA. Now, Noah Penda is the most instinctual off-ball defender in this draft class. He has a great feel for the game.
Also, they don't run out of
passer.
bad
He has
time work.
big-time versatility defensively. He
They got-
makes plays all over the floor with his 7-foot wingspan and strong anticipation skills. He had a very productive season as a 20-year-old with Le Mans and Pro A. They're one of the best teams in that league. He's not the most explosive guy. He's not the most consistent outside shooter. But think of him as somewhat of a Kenrich Williams type Swiss Army knife for the Orlando Magic. I think he's just going to be a very intriguing pick for them.
And he's one of, as we mentioned, several picks here, Jay, that have come from France, that are international picks. It's marking a little bit of a different trend that we're seeing right now in the NBA.
Yeah, well, the United States has most of the the best players in the world. They're not going to have all of them. And France has done a great job of developing young players. And, geez, the crazy length that some of these guys have. And length matters in the NBA.
And now Noah Penda is with our Monica McNutt.
Well, Noah, congratulations. We just came off of a terrific graphic addressing the legacy and the tradition that's developing in terms of French players. You join that group of talented young men. How are you feeling?
Really excited. I was there last night for the first round. I see all of my former teammates, former friends getting called to get on the big stage. So that's just, I'm happy for them, happy for me, and ready to get to work.
Now, personally, in terms of getting to work, you're joining an Orlando Magic team who was known for their tenacious defense, and that is one thing that has been praised about your game. What do you think about the fit where you're headed?
To Boston.
Honestly, I think
this
I can
pick
fit
actually
anywhere.
stays with Boston because they
I'm
did
glad
horrible.
to be part of the Orlando Magics. Thanks for them for trusting me, and just really excited to get there.
Outstanding, Noah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Malika, the Magic are having a very aggressive
33rd
here.
pick.
They go hard for Desmond Bane. Last night they trade up from 16 to 11 to get Cedric Howard. This they use 4 second-round picks, and they still have, over the next 7 years, 9 seconds and 4 firsts. He may not be done.
And the Magic selected Jace Richardson as well at number 25. And look, they ranked second in defense last year, Jay, and adding another hard-nosed defender here.
Yeah, but I think the big thing is getting Desmond Bane. That helps their shooting because they needed to score. Jace Richardson can shoot it as well. He may be small, but offensively he's very gifted.
And the Eastern Conference right now, again, I think a lot of folks thought that the Indiana Pacers would be, no pun intended, setting the pace for the rest of this conference. And I think Orlando is a team, the Atlanta Hawks, as you mentioned earlier, are the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers are looking around and saying, why not?
Well, I've never seen a conference get decimated by injuries like the Eastern Conference has. I mean, we've never seen star players go down like this, like we have with Tatum and Lillard, and then sadly Halliburton. I mean, and the truth is, this is a cutthroat business. This is a ruthless space that you work in. It's competitive, and it's about winning.
Subscribe
and
to
these
the
teams
channel.
in the Eastern
Turn
Conference, Malika, they're
on
saying, well,
notifications.
this is an opening. You know, they're saying, hey, we got to look at it realistically. And that East has probably never been more open due to these injuries.
And we have an Eastern Conference team on the clock right now, the Charlotte Hornets. They just finished up their first year under head coach Charles Lee here, Brian. When you look at Charlotte, obviously LaMelo is one of their cornerstones, Brandon Miller as well. How do you see them sort of climbing out of the bottom of the Eastern Conference historically and making a bit more of a push?
They've just had a lot of difficulty getting traction with their team because they've changed over coaches. LaMelo has had injury issues. Last year, Brandon Miller, who's off to a terrific start to the season, has injury issues. They changed their systems. They've changed ownership. They just haven't been able to get any momentum. This would be a year where it would be helpful, especially with some teams in the East going a little bit backwards, to do something.
Well, availability matters, and you have to have your best player on the court, and that's LaMelo Ball. But they did address a need last night with the Knippel draft pick. They were last in effective field goal percentage. Knippel 48% from three and corner threes. That is a big addition for them.
To your point about injuries, 3 and 32 when LaMelo Ball didn't play this season. Brandon Miller played 27 games because of a wrist injury as well, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is how you do it, though. This is how you build up through the draft. I mean, Brandon Miller was a great pick. Ball was a great pick. And Knippel, they hope he's a great pick. And you got to hope that all these guys, Oklahoma City's a good example. Now, they did get Shea in a big trade.
But Shea wasn't the headline of that trade at the time. It was the picks that were the headline. And, oh, here's SGA. No one saw necessarily him becoming an MVP of the league, which is such a cool story.
No, I mean, he was a good young player that a lot of people liked. You didn't know he'd be this. But that's the point about the draft. If everybody knew he would be the number 1 pick. Kobe Bryant was the 13th pick. Steph Curry was the 7th pick.
Kevin Durant.
Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce. We can go down the whole thing. And we talked about guys that were second-round picks that are MVP. Nikola Jokic going to the second round? It still bothers me. Didn't you say it was drafted during a commercial?
Taco Bell commercial.
During a Taco Bell commercial. He had an all-time quote about that I'll share later, but it's time to get it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum with the pick.
All right, here we go.
With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Sion James from Duke University.
Sion James, the senior guard here out of Duke, Jay.
Well, Sion James started his career at Tulane, where he was considered a scorer, but when he transferred to Duke, he became a point guard, really physical, an excellent athlete, and an outstanding defender. He's not a guy that's going to go out and get you 3-4 steals in a game, but he really limits his assignment. He keeps the ball away from him, stays in front. He's a good passer, very low error rate, does not turn it over, and a very good cutter. But his on-ball defense and the fact that he does so many things well and very steady. The key will be improving his shooting. He can make shots, but he needs to be a more aggressive shooter and take advantage of opportunities.
He joins 3 of his fellow Duke brothers who are already drafted here in the 2025 NBA Draft. The Charlotte Hornets are on the clock once again, so we are going to take a quick break. More from Barclays Center coming up right after this.
All right. Let's see more in a few minutes. So the first 3 picks were Rashard Fleming, Noah Pita, and Sion James. Sion James, 6'5", 218 pounds. He had 8.6 points per game, 2.9 assists, 4.2 rebounds. See who they're going to pick. We had 2 Duke players. 2 Duke players. That's crazy. We should be back in a minute. We're at the 34th pick. The Celtics can get 2 more picks in advance.
NBA Draft 2025 is presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The second night of the NBA draft brings out the stars. Spike Lee in the house, as always, representing for New York. I liked his outfit at Cannes as well. Oh, was it Cannes, the film festival? Welcome back to the second round of the 2025 NBA draft. Several young men are here with us at Barclays, waiting, hoping to hear their name called here tonight. The Charlotte Hornets remain on the clock. The pick will be in here momentarily, imminently. But we were talking about, you asked Bob a really interesting question in the break. Jay, can you share?
Well, when we were talking about all the recent injuries in the Eastern Conference, my thought was, with these injuries, would that make you more aggressive in the short window to make moves? Because you've got a championship opportunity with so many star players injured in the East.
Yeah, I think I answered I would do something. I don't think I would do anything reckless. Right. I would do something in the short term, though. And that might mean, and Bobby, you know this, that might mean I wasn't planning on using my tax pyramid level exception to get a $5, $6, $7 million player, but now I am. Mm-hmm. That may mean I'm going to go out and make a trade for a rotation guy and give up some draft capital because this is a window. But I'm not going to do it for a guy that has 4 years left, but I might do it for a guy that has 1 year left. Guys like Cam Johnson's the guy where you say, hey, this guy this year, I need him for this year because I have a window in the East.
Yeah, it's like that when you look at it in 2 year windows, right? We always talk about 4 or 5. How can they help you now and how can they help you next year? And the one thing you don't want to do is go all in and then it blows up in your face.
The pick is in.
With the 34th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton University.
Ryan was a defensive force at Creighton. However, it's a former NBA champion and MVP that Ryan replicates at times on the offensive end here as well.
I got way more comfortable shooting the ball this past year.
You can't defend that.
Rim protection has been there a while. My ability to guard on the perimeter has taken a lot of steps forward.
Kalkbrenner's 7'4" reach came up with the block.
My favorite player growing up was Dirk, and I couldn't be any more different than him. So, I mean, that fadeaway jumper in the post is just, iconic. He was so good at that. And, I think I hit that shot twice over 5 years in my college career. Just trying to do what we do in our system and do it to the best of my ability to help us win.
Jonathan, you've described him as ready to go, plug and play with any team.
Absolutely, Malika. 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, 23 years old.
7'6" wingspan, 9'4" standing reach. He's ready to help the Charlotte Hornets from day one. They actually have a major void here after trading Mark Williams yesterday to the Phoenix Suns. Kalkbrenner never turns the ball over. He doesn't make mistakes. He's a very good screener, and he's added a stretch element to his game this past season. I really like this pick for the Charlotte Hornets.
Jonathan, thank you very much. By the way, those 4 Big East Defensive Player of the Year awards, the only other player to do that was Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. You can take a look here at the Hornets draft picks over the last 2 days. And now it's the Philadelphia 76ers that are on the clock. Philadelphia, another team plagued with injuries last year. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. They only played 15 games together. Joel Embiid, he was shut down in February after playing 19 games, his fewest in a season since missing the entire 2015-2016 season, rather. Jay, you said it best yesterday. The health of Joel is the core question for this team. I wonder if Kawhi and what the Clippers did this year could maybe be a model for the 76ers moving forward.
As far as sitting Embiid out a little bit, not playing him as much?
Pulling out a little bit of bubble wrap, and then down the stretch, we saw Kawhi be incredibly effective when his team needed it the most.
Whatever keeps him healthy and keeps him on the floor for the longest period of time. I mean, the MVP of the Sixers could be the medical staff because he's got to play. If he doesn't play, that limits their ability to challenge.
You talk about the East having some injuries and some teams taking a step back. The team that can take a huge step forward in that situation is Philly. Daryl Morey, their team president, talked last night about how after drafting VJ Edgecombe, he felt like they had one of the best backcourts in the league. And I kind of agree. When you look at Jared McClain, who was maybe on the way to being a Rookie of the Year candidate last year before he got hurt, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. If they're healthy, that team is very formidable.
On the street, let's go. Thank everyone for supporting.
Yeah, that's a big if.
Well, it's a huge if because look at the guys. Our whole conversation's about health, right? We can talk about health.
I feel like we've had a lot of doom and gloom health conversations.
I know. Well,
today. We need to do a little bit of like this.
Well, why are we talking about it? Because it's probably the most important thing to discuss. But assuming health, yeah, they got a great shot. I mean, especially because we talked about it 5 minutes ago. The East is open. Now the West, that is not open. The West is healthy, and it's very good.
Well, they've gotten younger, certainly with the VJ Edgecombe draft last night, and then Quentin Grimes during the trade deadline. Certainly,
awesome.
Yeah, and that's going to be a priority for them when we get into the offseason. He's going to be a restricted free agent. The downside, it might cost you Gershon Yabusele, who's an unrestricted free agent, and there's going to be a priority as how you go about putting together some front court depth because you're going to need an insurance policy for Joel Embiid.
I was in Philadelphia last year during Media Day, just ahead of their training camp beginning, and I sat down with Joel Embiid and Paul George, and both of them told me that this was a team, the intention of the team was they expected Joel Embiid to miss games. I think Joel has accepted that he's certainly not an 82-game player. He's not even a 65-game player at this point. He just wants to be here for when it matters the most. But because of the injuries to Paul George, even Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, of course, they weren't even able to get there. This team was supposed to be built, Jay, to be able to withstand a long stretch without Joel Embiid. They still can, but it's just like you got to just knock on wood for some health.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't even available at any point in the season for what he played 21 games. I mean, that's not enough to be.
And I think we saw the two teams in the finals with the depth that they had, right? Oklahoma City played a ton of guys, as did the Indiana Pacers, but I think the lesson in all that, you were there at training camp, this was a team that was considered to be a contender, and then they got the third pick in the draft. You just never know what's going to happen. You never know.
That's why the offseason is the honeymoon period, right? We all love our roster, and then we get to training camp, we're like, uh-oh.
Well, it was the most highly touted offseason, I think, for any team last year, Brian.
For sure. And look, they knew that there was going to be some issues 2 or 3 years in because some of their players were going to age, but they really thought they had a window in this year or the year after. And this window only has been accentuated by the injuries elsewhere. So it wouldn't surprise me if they draft a player here that they hope they can help them right away.
I will say Daryl Morey said after his availability yesterday that Joel Embiid, he's expected to be ready to go here for training camp. But since we're speaking of players that can make an impact immediately, go ahead, and then I want to hear from you.
I was just going to say, I want to see the stars play, right? This is we all want to see these guys play, especially in a diminished now where you know some of them are going to be out. But Joel Embiid's a fantastic player. I mean, this guy's an MVP of the league. He's tremendous. When he's healthy, I mean, he's one of the best players in the NBA. And so we talk about health. We want all these. This is why we love watching basketball, for guys like that.
And now the pick is in. I was going to go to Jay on listening to some of those players that could make a fit, but let's see who's headed to the Philadelphia 76ers.
right, here we go.
With the 35th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Janai Broome from Auburn University.
Sharing this moment with his parents, Julie and John, who've really been impactful in his career. A fun fact that he loves to share, that he knows sign language. The fifth-year forward out of Auburn played 2 seasons at Morehead State before transferring for the last 3, and he started playing basketball when he was just 9 years old at the YMCA. When he was younger, he modeled his game a little bit after James Harden because Harden's a lefty. He's a player who he sees that can get the job done every night. He was the unanimous AP first-team All-American selection and really has a good feel for the game, Jay.
Yeah, he's a lefty, an undersized 5-man, but he's got a 7-foot wingspan. And you mentioned, Malika, that he started his career at Morehead State, where he was Player of the Year in his league. When he transferred and went to Auburn, Bruce Pearl said, we'll see if these numbers translate to the SEC. And it did. He was dominant in the Southeastern Conference. In fact, he was the Player of the Year, led Auburn to the Final Four this last season. Shoots 66% at the rim, excellent on post-ups, and he's fantastic on the offensive glass. Just under 4 offensive rebounds a game. He may not be an above-the-rim big guy, but he carves out space and he gets things done. Really productive player that has been overlooked before and has come through.
And now he brings that chip on his shoulder into the NBA. He's standing by with his parents and Armonica McNutt.
So the uniqueness of this opportunity, Janai, is that you just heard what Jay Bilas had to say about you. What did you think of that?
I think what he said was right. You know, I'm a winner. You know, I get things done offensively and defensively, so the Sixers got a good one.
We've got the Jab 5 represented, which is your family, because you all share those wonderful initials, Mom, Julie, and Dad, John. When you see your son accomplish his dream, what have you seen that has allowed him to get here?
Pardon me?
When your son accomplishes this dream, what have you seen that allowed him to get here?
His hard work and his dedication to the sport that he loves, to something his passion has always been. So his dream come true.
Congratulations to the whole family, you guys. Janai, best of luck on your next step.
Thank you.
Just come to me.
Monica, thank you so very much. This next pick, the 36th pick, we have some news about, so I want to bring back in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams?
Malika, we do have news, if I can fix my mic here. The Lakers are acquiring the number 36 pick in this NBA draft, so they have moved up. This pick is not Brooklyn's, it's not anyone else's, it's the Lakers pick. And it's going to be for the 45 pick, and the player that they're targeting right now is Adu Thoreau out of Arkansas. At 36 here for the Lakers.
All right, so this pick has been on the move a couple of times, from Brooklyn to the Wolves and now to the Los Angeles Lakers here, Bobby Marks.
Yeah, they are certainly going to need some wing help here. We're going to see what happens as far as what happens with Dorian Finney-Smith, who's got a player option. The big priority, of course, when we get into the offseason is the center position, how they go about addressing a center position. Rob Pelinka, their general manager, was out front, said we need to fix that. They tried to do it at the deadline with Mark Williams. That trade was rescinded. Priority for center, but they'll get a really good wing right here.
Well, the pick is in, so let's send it back to the podium and Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum here. Again, this pick is headed to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Lakers select.
With the 36th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Adu Thoreau from the University of Arkansas.
I love this, that we get to see the moment that the call comes in. Adu led Arkansas in points and rebounds and steals, and this is a family of hoopers. His father played college ball under John Calipari for 4 seasons at Memphis before a series of health issues and injuries caused his playing career to be cut short. But his mom also played at Oklahoma City University and was drafted by the Washington Mystics in the W. So a lot of experience here. So this is a moment for the entire family. His sister, the first female player to dunk in Pennsylvania, a whole family affair. He says he's modeled his game after Derrick Rose when he was a kid. He played his freshman and sophomore seasons for Kentucky before going to Arkansas. And our Jonathan Givony calls him maybe the best dunker in this class, alongside the number 3 pick, BJ Edgecombe.
Well, the one thing about Adu Thero is he plays hard, man. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's long. He's athletic. He's very physical, and he's gotten stronger. He started his career at Kentucky, transferred to Arkansas when John Calipari took the Razorback job. But he's an excellent driver. He cuts hard, but he's got a motor. Really physical defender. He was the only Southeastern Conference player to average over 15 points, just under 6 rebounds, and over 1.5 steals. A little bit of a limited shooter, only 29% on jump shots, but in transition, defensively on the glass, he's a very capable player.
Malika, the Lakers really wanted this guy. They woke up today with a 55th pick. First, they make a deal with the Bulls to get to 45. Now a second deal to get up to this spot.
Well, his favorite memory in basketball was winning a state championship with his high school. I have a feeling that this may be up there, and now he's standing by with his father and Armonica McNutt.
Not just his father, Malika, but also his coach, right, at one point in his career. But Adu, how are you feeling? A dream realized.
Feeling good, blessed, happy, just thankful, just, grateful.
Coach, or Dad, Mommy, we know that being a parent and a coach sometimes can be challenging. But to get your son to this moment, as a dad, how proud are you of him?
I'm super proud of him. He worked all his life for this moment, and we are proud of him.
Congratulations to you both. Congrats, Adu.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I so enjoy hearing from the families in this moment alongside their sons, all the work to get to this moment, the NBA draft. From Barclays Center, we'll be right back.
All right, next pick is the Detroit. I'll be on mute for a second. Chaz Chisner was taken by the Pistons first. I meant Chaz Leonard. All right. That's their only pick. I think that's good that they picked the best player. Tennessee plays him. Pacers. Already at Cam's going to the Pacers. 6 people watching. Thank you for breaking the record. Cam Jones is officially going to the. We are at the Raptors pick now. Phoenix, then Golden State, then the Kings, then the Utah Jazz, then OKC, then the Bulls, then the Celtics, which was originally the Magic. Then we have Bucks, Grizzlies, Cavs, Clippers, Suns, Jazz, Pacers. So the Pacers have 2 picks tonight. Lakers got 2 picks too. Orlando has 2. on, guys. Let's get 10 people watching. They picked Colin Murray Boyles yesterday. Second quarter pick.
Excuse. And he has found his way into the NBA. He played 5 seasons in college, the first 4 with Florida Atlantic, and then this past season with Florida where he won a national championship. He averaged a career high, just over 14 points a game. He also made the Final Four with Florida Atlantic back in 22-23, Jay.
A football player in high school, and the first thing, he's strong, physical, and tough. Like, he's really tough. And I thought he changed Florida in a lot of ways with his toughness, especially defensively, because he's an outstanding defender. Really tough on the ball, keeps a low center of gravity, and it's really tough to get by him. He fights through screens, and then he also attacks in transition. A good pull-up shooter. He may be a little bit undersized for a guard, but he's got a 6'7" wingspan. But that toughness, the fact that he gets steals, and he's always in attack mode, never takes a back seat. Malik, your point about having Final Four experience when he was at Florida Atlantic, it's no accident that he was a Final Four player at Florida Atlantic for the Owls, and then he wins a national championship in Florida.
Yeah, he's a winner. The Raptors, they drafted Colin Murray Boyles with the 9th overall pick last night. So we got 2 SEC guys headed up to the Raptors rather. And now Elijah is with our Monica McNutt.
Elijah, you said the nerves.
Yeah.
Tell me about them.
Just a bunch of emotions right now, just excited, nervous, but just ready to get to the next level, and show what I could do.
Not many of your draft classmates, outside of your literal teammates at Florida, can say they're coming off of a national championship. Having had such a tremendous season, what did you learn that's going to help you in your rookie season?
How important team chemistry is. I feel like that translates at
Going
next
to
level,
Orleans.
and
Let's make it
do a
a
good
lot
job
of
with that.
We got to talk a little bit about this fit, this chain. Talk to me about the chain.
Just something that me and my jeweler put together. I've been working on this piece for a while now, but I do want to shout out my hometown, Pike County. They're watching right now, so I appreciate y'all for all the support.
Love that. Congratulations, Elijah.
Thank you.
This moment is often so much bigger than what we see in the room. It's the culmination of so many Pick is actually on its way to the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum.
With the 40th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Micah Peavy from Georgetown University.
Micah with his family. Originally from Texas, he started his collegiate career at Texas Tech before playing 3 seasons at TCU and spending his final season at Georgetown. He averaged career highs across the board. He also led the Big East in steals per game, minutes per game last season. He earned all Big East first-team honors in 2024-2025 as well, Jay.
Really good scorer, averaged about 17 a game, and proved to be a good rebounder, just under 6 rebounds a game. So he's got size, he's a gifted athlete, and very physical. Another guy who plays really hard. He's got a great motor and really puts good pressure on the ball as a defender. He can switch, plays angles really well, and when he gets steals and gets out in transition, he can take it to the rim. Good mid-range game, he can pull up, and was really good in pick and roll situations. Averaged just under 4 assists a game, but his defense really good. Gets a couple of steals per game, forces turnovers. A really solid basketball player, Micah Peavy.
And Micah is with Monica.
Micah, I watched some of your pre-draft interviews, and you felt very strongly about your ability to make an impact on the defensive end. What gives you the confidence on that side of the ball?
I just feel like I impact the game at that end of the floor better than anybody in the country. So I just can't wait to show that at the NBA level.
You have had a very business-like approach, and even now. But talk to me a little bit about the emotions of achieving this dream and the opportunity now to begin an NBA career.
Man, this journey was a marathon, you know. 5 years in college. I just thank my family, my coaches, just everybody who's been a part of this. I thank God. This is crazy. This is my dream. So
congratulations, Micah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Monica, thank you. Micah, congratulations. Now joining us here on the NBA Draft broadcast is the 3rd pick from last night's draft. VJ Edgecombe of the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't even need to call him the 3rd pick now. He's just of the 76ers. He has touched down in Philadelphia and has been kind enough to make a little bit of time for us. VJ, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it. Last night, you were so overcome with emotion. It was really touching, especially there was a moment you were talking to our friend Taylor Rooks, and you were looking back at everything your mother had sacrificed in order to put you on this stage. And you said you couldn't process it then, but 24 hours later, sitting in Philadelphia finally, how does it feel and what has this been like?
It feels great. I ain't get to meet the staff yet. I'll go there tomorrow. But actually, I'm still lost for words. This feels like a dream right now. I can't even tell you. I'm still lost for words. It still feels surreal.
VJ, we spend all our time describing you and how you play and the type of player you are. So describe yourself for us. What do you bring to Philly and what maybe you need to work on?
Yeah, I'm a two-way player. I can impact the game anyway. I feel like if I'm not scoring, I still can impact the game. But Philly's getting something that's going to play their heart out on every given night. Just going out there to play hard, be bought into what Coach Nurse has going on over there, fitting around my players, my teammates. You know, we have Embiid, who was MVP of the league, Tyrese, who's an all-star, PG, who's an all-star, and a runner-up before. So now I'm ready to get in there and work.
VJ, last night your mom kept saying, we came from nothing. We came from nothing. How do you think having that humble beginning will help you as you go forth in the NBA?
Yeah, it will help me take everything. Don't take nothing for
I
granted.
people on the
Say
street
that.
think
Don't take anything for granted, man. Every penny counts. Every second on earth counts, to be honest. So, but just take nothing for granted, man. That was the main thing. I might take away from this. Knowing all the obstacles and adversity that we face.
All right,
but we're here today, so that just credit to God for that.
BJ, I know you had a great season at Baylor, but I know last summer you played for the Bahamanian national team with a bunch of NBA players, and you really excelled and stood out. What did that show you and teach you about how you might be ready for the next level?
Yeah, playing with the Bahamian team, it was a different ball game than college. It's a totally different ball game, especially in the pros. There's way more space. Yeah, you can't just sit in the paint the whole game. You know, college is clogged up, man. So I was able to play in space, which plays to my advantage. You know, being with EG, Buddy, DA, they all taught me how to be pros. Just get better every day, carry myself as a pro, just stay disciplined throughout the whole time.
VJ, let's talk about that 76ers roster. How do you see yourself fitting in with Tyrese Maxey and certainly Jared McCain, last year's first-round pick?
Yeah, I feel like we have versatility. We can impact the game in many different ways, especially me coming in just to help that. I just want to fit in with what they have going on. Like I said, Tyrese is an all-star. Jared McCain is on his way to be Rookie of the Year, if you ask me. So, yeah, I'm just ready to go in there and see what we can do together.
VJ, I'm curious if you've heard from, if you've spoken to yet, Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey or even Paul George and what they've said to you.
They all welcome me. They say welcome to Philly, young fella. So the Rook talk already start, man. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting now.
The Rook talk, maybe even a little bit of rookie duties as well. Last question for you. What have you heard about Philadelphia fans? Because they're some of the most passionate in sports, and what's your message to them?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Very passionate, a hungry fan base. And I love it. I was greeted by some of the fans here at the hotel. It was great just to even see them here. It shows that their love for the city. It's called the city of brotherly love. So I wasn't expecting them to be like that, but now I like how it's going. But the Philly fans, I'm coming in there to work. You're gonna get my best foot forward every day.
And now you are a part of that brotherhood. VJ, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. We know this is an incredibly busy week for you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. You too.
All right, we're getting close to this pick. Again, it says Golden State is on the clock, but this pick is being traded to the Phoenix Suns, and now the pick is in. So let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum to see who is headed to Phoenix.
With the 41st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Kobe Bryant from the University of Kentucky.
This is a full circle moment for Kobe and his family. From New York and about to walk across the stage to his NBA dream here in Barclays Center. His dad, his mom, both from the Dominican Republic. His dad played professionally there. Kobe sharing this moment with his family. This is really what the NBA draft is all about. This right here, hard work paying off, not just of a young man, but of everyone who raised him up to this point. Kobe, of course, spent 4 years at Dayton before transferring to Kentucky. He won Atlantic's Sixth Man of the Year twice. He can really shoot the basketball, Jay.
He's a specialist. He is a shooter. And Mark Pope's first draft pick as head coach at Kentucky. But last year at Dayton, Kobe Bryant led the nation in three-point percentage. He shot 50% from three. And this last year, close to 70% of his made field goals were threes. He had 7 games with 20 or more points. He had 93 threes on the season and shot over 43% from three on the year. And a lot of those threes were contested, but he's got a really good shot fake. He moves really well without the ball, but he can shoot it spotting up, shoot it in transition, and gets it off dribble handoffs in that rifle action they run this last year at Kentucky. But an excellent shooter, Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. Clarifying, he won Atlantic 10 Sixth Man of the Year twice here. And interestingly, he called Devin Booker his favorite player. And now he's headed to Phoenix. He's with our Monica McNutt.
Thank you, Malika, with Kobe and his dad, Stefan. But I gotta say, your mom, Myra, looked very emotional when your name was called, and she gave you the nickname Fuego. Spoke that you would bring the heat. What do you say to both of your parents tonight?
Oh man, just super happy for them to be able to experience this with me, and just knowing that all the sacrifices that they made for me, it paid off. So just I'm extremely happy for them, and I wouldn't rather be doing it with anybody else. So I appreciate them a lot.
Dad, Stefan, you played professionally. Your son's talking so glowingly about how much he appreciates your sacrifice. Along the way, as you were planting the seeds, did you dream of tonight, and how does it compare?
I thought they was going to call me, but amazing. I'm so happy for him. He deserves better.
All right, Kobe, this pick is headed out to Phoenix, right? An organization that's been talked about a bunch. But what will you be bringing?
Anything that's needed. I'm an extreme competitor. I'm somebody that's super coachable, and I just want to be there and, become the best version of myself and do whatever's asked from me. So they're going to get somebody that's, all hands in.
Excellent stuff, Kobe. Congratulations to you and your family.
I like the nickname Fuego there. And moments like this remind us that the draft, it's not just about potential. The emotion we saw from Mom, it's about perseverance being rewarded, about families finally exhaling as well. Sacramento's pick is in.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Minnesota Timberwolves are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Rasheer Fleming, the 31st pick. With the 42nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Maxime Reynaud from Paris, France, and Stanford University.
Maxime Day, the 7-foot Frenchman out of Stanford, the only NCAA Division I player to average at least 20 points and 10 rebounds this season.
Yeah, he's versatile, 7-footer with a 7'1" wingspan. He's got size and he can shoot it. He's a high-volume rebounder. In fact, he set a single-season record for rebounding at Stanford. That's even more than Kim Belton grabbed in a single year. But he can stretch the floor. He can play pick and pop. He can knock down threes. He had 25 double-doubles on the season. That was second in Division I to Yaxel Lendeborg of UAB, who since transferred to Michigan. But now that makes him the 5th Frenchman to be drafted this year.
And he's very close friends with Victor Wembanyama. The two like to play chess together. He's also sparring partners with Victor. You can see them playing chess there. His fun fact in the NBA draft guide, he says, I can beat you at chess. So Brian, game on here. You've been around this French team a lot.
Victor's got a long reach. I'd be careful boxing against him.
Don't the contracts limit that? They can't parachute or box anymore?
Are you volunteering? You're volunteering for one of
I
those
don't think they can do that anymore.
Again, with the second round of the NBA draft will continue after this break.
All right, so we're through 12 picks so far. We're already in an hour and 19 minutes. That went by fast. All right, that pick's going to the Jazz. I mean, it's going to the Wizards. All right. We're at 43rd pick of the draft. We have 3 picks until the 46th. We have the 57th pick, so we have 11 picks apart.
the Sky taking on the Sparks. It's at 4 o'clock Eastern. Coverage tips with WNBA Countdown. That's at 3:30. The Washington Wizards are now on the clock with pick number 43, and this has been an interesting last couple of weeks here, Bobby, for Washington.
Yeah, well, certainly. Let's look at last night first. They get 2 young players in Shea Johnson and Will Riley. Then they go out and make the Jordan Poole trade. They bring back C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. A lot of veterans on this roster when you look at Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton. Expiring contracts, a lot of cap space in the 2026 offseason. Nice young pool of players to develop.
Yeah, they're a team that's going that route, right? It's young players. Hopefully one of them hits. They wanted to draft high. They also are a team that didn't get the lottery luck they were hoping for. I think they were hoping for a top 2-3 pick. Obviously, Cooper Flagg would be the home run. But this is what you do, right? They're just waiting for their moment. They're building slowly, and they're having optionality and cap space. And that's how a lot of teams want to do it.
They have another player that they're going to add to that mix. Let's get it back to the podium. The pick is in.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the San Antonio Spurs are trading to the Indiana Pacers the draft rights to Cam Jones, the 38th pick. With the 43rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Jamir Watkins from Florida State University.
Bobby, you are a huge fan of Jamir Watkins.
Well, I'm a huge fan of him on and off the court. He comes out in the draft last year. He decides to go back to Florida State, and I asked him why.
44.
It was because he wanted to graduate, to be the first person in his family to graduate. He's an electrifying defender. We saw him in Chicago at the Combine. He had 5 steals in the first half here. Long, athletic wing. He can defend right here. Certainly going to a Washington team that needs some athleticism, and he will certainly add that to that team.
Absolutely. When he was a kid, he said he modeled his game after Kobe Bryant, and now he is headed to Washington, a team with a lot of youth and a lot of opportunity really ahead of them. And now it's the Oklahoma City Thunder here that are on the clock. Brian, this is really unique. Again, going to a team, a championship team, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, not only are they champions, they also have so many picks, so many assets, so much flexibility moving forward.
So many players on the roster. They're actually kind of out of roster space. They traded the 24th pick last night for a future first because they didn't have anywhere to put them. They don't have free agents. They're going to return everybody, which is troublesome news for the NBA. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a pick here that maybe is a two-way player or maybe is a pick that would be stashed overseas or developed for a while.
We had such a wonderful time riding the wave of the 7-game series for the Oklahoma City Thunder that culminated, of course, in a championship in Oklahoma City on Tuesday. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander making sure the fans get to see the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the first championship this franchise has won in the city. This was the most incredible atmosphere I think I've ever been a part of. I have seen a lot of basketball, Bob, and I don't know that I've ever seen a more raucous environment than what we saw in Oklahoma City.
Well, besides Oakland? I'm not going to let Oklahoma City, Malika, I'm not going to let that happen. But it was fantastic.
It was wonderful. It was really, really excellent. And to be able to see, I think there's a lot of hope that people are deriving from the Indiana Pacers run. People are saying if Indiana can do it, anyone can do it. On the other hand, folks are looking around at Oklahoma City, to Brian's point, and saying this could be a team, I'm guilty of it again, that we could see for years and years to come, and uniquely so.
Yeah, well, if we haven't learned anything, like you said, we are guilty of it. We thought Boston. A lot of people presumed Boston would win it last year, which they did, and they'd win it again. They keep winning it. But now, not only did they not win it, they're in the process of kind of tearing the thing down a little bit, which is what they had to do because the second apron. This Oklahoma City team does have the advantage of youth, right? Young teams usually don't win the championship. It's very, very rare. It was second youngest team.
Second youngest team.
Yeah, to the Blazers.
77.
And so where this team is different, where this team is different is that fact that they are so young and they still have a lot of really good players on rookie contracts. So they have a shot here to keep this thing going.
And doesn't the draft capital they have help with that too?
Oh yeah,
they've got a ton of draft capital.
Helps with all of it.
And one of those players they drafted in last year's lottery, Nikola Topic, who's out all year, they're going to get him back. And it's basically the player they picked this year, Thomas Sorber, basically is going to replace Topic because he's coming off foot surgery.
And really uniquely to the Oklahoma City Thunder, 4 second-round picks
picks, 4 second-round picks. We're not just on the roster. We're integral parts of this championship because we saw Mark Daigneault. He went to different guys at different points in every single series, Brian.
Yeah, they don't just have star players. They've had star development. They've been able to build that team up, and they're going to have to continue to do that because their roster is going to get very expensive soon.
And now their pick is in. Let's send it back to the podium and NBA Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum, who has the selection.
Mark Tatum is here.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Washington Wizards are trading to the New Orleans Pelicans the draft rights to Micah Peavy, the 40th pick. With the 44th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Brooks Barnhizer from Northwestern University.
Brooks Barnhizer averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4.2 assists for Northwestern University. Sam Presti making another selection here.
Not surprisingly, from Northwestern playing for Chris Collins, Brooks Barnhizer is a high IQ player. Had a foot injury this last year that really disrupted the end of the season.
Away from Boston,
he knows how to play. He's an excellent defender, really good length, and just tough as nails. Not surprised that he was drafted.
Jay, thank you for that insight. All right, now we're turning to the 45th pick in this draft. The Chicago Bulls are on the clock here. At one point, this pick was on the move to the Los Angeles Lakers, Bobby Marks.
Now it's going to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And now it's going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Bobby, Minnesota's in a really interesting spot here because Julius Randle and Naz Reid, Chris Finch has said that he expects both of these players, these core pieces, to be back, but they have a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah, both have a player option. June 29th is the decision date. They also have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's also an unrestricted free agent, and I think that's why we saw Terrence Shannon in the playoffs, who could potentially be a replacement.
Such a spark plug for them.
And that's what they're going to need when you have when your finances are that hot. Rob Dillingham also, who they drafted last year.
I'm curious, when you have a guy on a big money contract, Brian, and you draft a younger guy in the same spot, they do need a backup center. Rudy Gobert is what I'm thinking of here, because at times you see Naz Reid playing backup center, but that's really what they were going for with this pick, right?
Yeah, as a team that's been threatening the second apron, they have to have, quite frankly, economical backups. And so a lot of times that means younger. So that's what a team that is a mature team has to do. And in a situation like this, they've even moved back twice in this draft tonight. It may not seem like that big of a deal to move back from a pick like at 31 or 36 where you might have to offer a guaranteed contract to back at this spot where you might be in two-way zone. Because at this point, a team like Minnesota is counting every penny so that they can pay the guys who are free agents.
I love when coaches, they're asked about their high-priced players, and they say, I expect them to be back. and the GM goes, are you kidding? Like, what do you mean expect them to be back? Yeah, I mean, but of course, what's the coach going to say? Well, we're not going to be able to afford that guy. You have to say that you expect them back, but having been a general manager, sometimes you hear that and you go, oh my gosh, we can't keep all these guys.
Oh, you still have a full head of hair, though, so you didn't pull all of it out. As Steve Kerr was saying that to you. Nickeil Alexander-Walker also here, a free agent.
Yeah, now that's one. I don't think we're going to get a lot of action in free agency next week, but this is
Brian,
a player
we got two shows. We got 5 hours of TV.
Well, we're going to be talking about Nickeil Alexander-Walker because he's a guy that a number of teams are really targeted. They're not sure that the Wolves can fit him. And the Wolves made an interesting move last year. They traded Karl-Anthony Towns, but then a couple of days later, they got Rudy Gobert to opt out of his contract, redo the deal, and take the money down significantly. That was made so that they could keep more of the roster together. Whether they can fit Naz Reid, Julius Randle, and Naw in there, that's questionable. Some teams think they might be able to get it.
And another second apron consequence, right? I mean, we're going to keep saying, you and I said, we got to come up with a better name. Let's do a poll. What is the best name for second apron?
Please let us know.
That name? I think the Iron Apron. The Iron Apron.
How about the Grim Reaper?
Yesterday I rolled out Satan's Jail.
I don't like that. I think that's too much.
That's a little strong.
That is a lot.
Definitely jail.
We do know that there is a very, very high bar, though, that the Minnesota Timberwolves are trying to eclipse because more coach speak, but I liked it. Chris Finch, he challenged his guys. He said, prove that this wasn't a fluke. Prove making it to the Western Conference Finals wasn't a fluke and do it again. Indiana, the same thing. Prove that making it to the Eastern Conference Finals wasn't a fluke. Minnesota did that with a very good team, and it's an expensive team that they made a lot of moves for, but now the bar is set. They have to be able to climb higher.
In all honesty, in today's day and age with the second apron, if you're able to be competitive for the title for 3 years in a row, you really, really accomplish something. It's very very hard.
I think we should pause for 1 second, whatever we want to call it. Second apron, iron apron, your mama's apron, whatever it is. Can you just explain it one more time?
Yeah, it's a threshold that you can exceed if you want to bring back your own free agents, but you can't exceed it if you're going to go out and sign free agents or go out and make trades. And it makes you got to like your roster. That's the biggest thing. And you can get around the second apron if you have draft picks. That's how you can kind of make the dance.
How much does Minnesota like this roster? Because I thought they did, and then you start hearing things about maybe they were a team that was interested in someone like Kevin Durant.
Well, they were. They were interested in Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. They were interested in Kevin Durant 2 weeks ago. They didn't make that trade at the trade deadline because they and the Suns were in the second apron, and ultimately they couldn't make it work. They didn't do it 2 weeks ago because Durant didn't want to go there. But it has worked out for them the way that they didn't make that deal.
I'm going to get a jar. We're going to put a dollar bill in it anytime someone says second apron. All right, the pick is in. This one headed to Minnesota.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Golden State Warriors are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Kobe Bryant, the 41st pick. With the 45th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Rocco Zekarski from Sunshine Coast, Australia, the NBA Global Academy in Australia, and Brisbane Bullets of the NBL.
Rocco Zekarski was once, Jonathan, the youngest player in the NBL's Next Stars program history.
Malika, he's still pretty young. He's only 18 years old. NBA Global Academy product. He has incredible size at 7'4" with a 9'7" standing reach. He can practically dunk without jumping, which also gives him significant potential on the defensive end. He's shown some flashes of stretch potential. He will need to improve his ability to cover ground in space, make quicker decisions, but he's going to be the third tallest player in the NBA after Zach Edey and Victor Wembanyama.
Third tallest player in the NBA, standing at 7'3". What you're seeing here, it's not just a hand.
They're taking a commercial break. They just got Amari Williams, best guy, and Celtic select him. Let's go. Amari Williams could be our guy. 10 points a game, 8.5 rebounds. That is something. Yeah, take a picture of that. Percent rebound. Let's go. Boston gets the dub. I think the Celtics should fire. Celtics took Amari Williams, best player from England, 23 years old, actually really good. All right, the Celtics have we're at an hour and 39 minutes. By the time we have 50 picks, will be at 2 hours. Got a 6'10", 262 center that actually helps you. That doesn't replace your center you have, but that helps for bench. Actually made my day even better by drafting him. So, good job, Brad Stevens. Good.
Prepared you for the NBA. Physical stuff. Primarily, I think. Anyway,
All right, Mark Tatum, 48 pick. We are 9 picks away from getting really all right. So what do we need now? We got a B plus. Better pick. I'm telling you. This guy is a great center. Great. Wait, what do they need? They got a small forward and center. They need a power forward and shooting guard. So who 5 of them, who would I take? I would say for a power forward, you have to take. I take David Joplin, 6'8", 225, had 14 points a game, or Eric Dixon, 23 points a game, or Grant Nelson, another guy that's good. Yeah, Kentucky player, Mario Williams. Can't wait to see him in Boston. Excited. He's from England. I like an England player. He gave us the best grade so far. I would say take Jackson Robinson next. That's what I would say. Might be a guy. Oh, sorry, the thing was muted. I'm sorry, guys.
They made their selection. They really wanted to get Tyrese Proctor. I am told, Jonathan, that he will have a spot on this roster next year.
Proctor.
That's correct, Malika. This is a spot that every agent was fighting for because it's going to be a roster spot. Every other pick here is going to be either two-way or a stash. Tyrese Proctor is a sweet shooting Australian guard, made 41% of his threes, helped Duke make the Final Four this year. This is the second NBA Global Academy product that we've seen drafted. Sadly, this academy in Canberra will be shuttering this year. They're moving it elsewhere. They did a phenomenal job developing all these Australian and international players. Very excited pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Cavaliers are about to enter the second apron, Malika, and they're not sure if they could keep both Sam Merrill and Ty Jerome, their free agents. Proctor would be able to replace one of them if they kept one of the people.
And now their Eastern Conference foe, the New York Knicks, are on the clock. Spike Lee has been pacing around a little bit as we get ready for this selection. But the New York Knicks, still no head coach here after firing Tom Thibodeau.
Hey, it's just, she's right.
Sorry, Spike. They haven't been able to secure that yet, Bob. If you're leading that search, what does it look like?
I don't know, Malika. It's a tough search. I mean,
give Spike something to hope for.
Spike. I mean, what do you want? I guess that's the question. This is. He doesn't know. See, even Spike doesn't know. How am I supposed to know? Spike doesn't know. But look, it's a challenging thing to find the right coach. So just put it that way. It's not easy.
Well, you can forget about some of these guys because their teams have refused to allow the Knicks to interview them. It looks like James Borrego, who nearly got the Cavaliers job last year, will be the next coach up to interview.
It was pretty surprising. The Knicks made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals this past season. It was their first appearance since 2000. Spike Lee was at every single one of those games, even missing red carpets to make sure that he could be there, Jay. In order for them to take the next step, I'm not sure it just starts with the coach here.
Well, I think it does. I mean, I was shocked at that.
Me too.
Maybe I shouldn't be shocked, but given how quickly coaches get fired in the NBA and college, but I was really shocked at that one. Tom Thibodeau, I thought, did a great job there.
Let's give Spike something to cheer about. The pick is in. Let's send it back to the podium to see New York's selection here.
With the 50th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Kobe Sanders from the University of Nevada.
Kobe Sanders, the first player drafted out of Nevada since Jalen Harris in 2020, Jay.
He started his career at Cal Poly, played 4 years there, and you'd probably call him a late bloomer, but Kobe Sanders has good size, a very good skill level. He's an excellent passer. He's got good feel, really good vision, and he's become a good pull-up shooter. He's got a step-back move. He just strides to the rim and finishes well. I wouldn't call him an elite athlete, but he's one of those guys that knows how to play. Shot 46% on his dribble pull-ups, knocked down 41 threes on the year, and averaged just about 16 points a game.
And now the Los Angeles Clippers are on the clock at 51. Shams has some news for us. What you got, Shams?
Kobe Sanders, Spike, you can stand up again. Kobe Sanders actually got traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. So the 50th overall pick is now to the Clippers. Obviously just went, so the Knicks have traded Kobe Sanders to the Clippers.
All right, Kobe Sanders now on his way to the Los Angeles Clippers, which means Spike
can't
can't
sit down,
yet. He can't sit down yet. Shams, thank you so very much for that insight. I guess that means we can talk a little bit more about New York and what their off-season plans are here, Bobby.
Well, they've got their top 7 players under contract, and they're certainly going to be a priority to improve their bench. Now, we talked about the head coaching search. Free agency starts in 4 days. How do you go out and identify free agents when you don't know who your coach is going to be, Bob?
Well, I'll tell you this. There may not be, this opening for a head coach, I don't know if there's a better head coach opening, a more ready roster with a diminished East. The Knicks could be, and Spike's going to like what I'm about to say, they could be the favorites to go to the finals. Well, Spike, you guys got a good team. You just need a coach. You just need a coach.
Bob, what's amazing is out of the 4 or 5 teams and the top teams, they're the last men standing.
Yeah,
with
that's
all
right.
these injuries.
That's right.
They're
That's
the only
what I'm
ones who
talking
have
about.
not endured injuries.
I mean,
here.
what now? The question is
Cleveland's had some, but short term.
Yep. I mean, does a coach want those expectations? But if you're an aspiring coach, or any coach for that matter, a coach that hasn't coached, a coach that has, what better opportunity to take the New York Knicks in a diminished East chance to go to the finals? A good chance.
Shams has a little bit more insight for us on this, Shams.
Yeah, now this 51st pick is actually the New York Knicks' pick. So we saw a 50-51 swap, essentially. Still trying to figure out exactly what went to the Knicks for this swap. I'm sure some consideration of cash. So Spike, you can stand back up.
Who was it that someone had a yes. Spike, thank you. Cash considerations was put on a jersey for one of your
I think it was
players.
Jordan Bell.
That was Jordan Bell. That's right. Cash considerations.
Yeah, we paved the
put
park.
on a
We
jersey
paved the
for
parking
that.
lot because we got cash consideration.
You traded. Were part of trading the pick
That's
that
an
ended
urban.
up
that's-
in Draymond
we
Green
We
to
did.
Bob
That
Myers.
was a salary dump. We sent Troy Murphy for Brandon Wright and Dan Godzurek, and that's a warning to teams to be careful trading future second-round picks that turn into Draymond Green.
Bobby, that's not fair. That's not fair.
I think
What a great move, Bob.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We all do it all along. I don't think I was even fair.
So now New York is on the clock here at 51 after swapping with the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers had a heck of a run, Brian, through the Western Conference. They took Oklahoma City. There's some really interesting games here rather than
We're almost done with this draft.
That
We're at an hour
game that
55
round against
minutes
Denver didn't
already.
feel like a first-round
No.
series. It felt like maybe a conference final series.
I had a Freudian slip of saying Oklahoma City. It felt that hard-nosed.
You know, it was interesting. The general manager, I think it was Ty Lue or general manager Lawrence Frank said yesterday that Kawhi Leonard went ahead and kept on working out through the entire spring into June to mimic what it would be like to get back to the NBA Finals to prepare his body for it. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I like when he's healthy, and if he's healthy right now, that's a good sign.
All right, this pick, again, Spike, it's time for you to stand up because it's headed to the New York Knicks. Let's see who they select.
With the 51st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Mohamed Diawara from Paris, France, and Francis Cholet Basket.
Mohamed on his way here to the New York Knicks. He was actually an early entrant in the 2024 NBA Draft, but withdrew, and now here's his name called in the second round of the 2025 Draft. All right. The 2025 NBA Draft second round will be back after this with a 52nd pick.
Almost done, guys. We're at 52. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more picks. We're completely almost done. All right, this Suns pick is going to the Warriors. Well, at least we got two good picks so far. One of them is better than the other. Alright, well, let's see if we can get another center. I think we need another center. I would take. Who's our only center? Who's that?
And the shirt. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new. Sunshine.
Flyweight belts on the line. The prelims begin at 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus in English and Spanish, with the main card at 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. Buy it at espnplus.com/PPV. While we were in the break, the Golden State Warriors selected Alex Tui, Jonathan.
Malika, the third Australian we've seen selected and the third member of the NBA Global Academy. Tough, smart, energetic forward in a Jetty Osman mold, standing 6'11" in shoes, 6'11" wingspan, strong feel for the game, two-way versatility, gets in passing lanes, does a little bit of everything in both ends of the floor. Intriguing pick for the Golden State Warriors.
Again, yeah, you're seeing the Phoenix Suns on the screen, but this pick is on its way to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, they lost in the conference semifinals to the Timberwolves. Steph Curry, of course, got hurt in game one. But this is a little bit of an older group with Steph, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, although they would disagree. They would say, no, they still are young at heart. But, Bob, this is a group that if they want to get another one, the lead to do that is running out.
Yeah, but they still, I mean, look, doesn't matter, I suppose, but I think if Curry's healthy, that at least they give Minnesota a good shot there. So they would say they would win, and that's what they should say. But you're seeing players play a lot longer now. I mean, look at LeBron James. I mean, it feels Steph Curry doesn't look like he's slowing down much. And Jimmy Butler was very, very good, and Draymond Green was very effective and all NBA player. So I think yes, to your question, 22. They don't have as much time as they did, but they do have time. The concern for the Warriors and a lot of these teams is, can you make it through the gauntlet of the West? It's an attrition. It's a war of attrition now to get past all these teams, because the West, I don't think I've ever seen so many teams going for it, going for the playoffs. I don't know how many teams in the West raise their hand and say we're not trying to win. It used to be 4, 5, 6 teams to do that, but nowadays, by the way, the room is huge. I had a smaller room. I didn't have that many people.
Well,
it got a lot smarter when I left.
Place, but Chase Center has some larger digs. All right, the next pick is in. Let's send it back to the podium to see the Utah Jazz selection.
With the 53rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select John Tonje from the University of Wisconsin.
John Tonje played 4 seasons, Jay, at Colorado State and another at Missouri before playing at Wisconsin.
Just had a great year at Wisconsin. John Tonje has a strong frame. He's tough. He's aggressive, a good shooter with a high release and a good driver. And he's very good on the move, but it's his physicality. He just bullied his way to the free throw line over and over again this year. He made the most free throws of any player this last year in Division I basketball in college. Made 231 free throws on the season. He had 30-point games against AP top 10 teams 3 times and had 41 against Arizona early in the season. I mean, he probably shot 40 free throws in that game. He lived at the foul line.
And next up on the clock, it's the Indiana Pacers, the defending Eastern Conference champs, who will have their pick on the other side of this break.
All right, last break. Thank you guys for joining in the draft. This is amazing. We're almost done. We are literally at the 50th pick. We are on two picks from the Celtics. We have two picks left until the Celtics.
Yeah, and there's whoa. Come true.
The world's smartest point solution. Presented by State Farm. While we were in the break, we had not one, but two picks selected here, starting with the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers selected Talon Peter out of Liberty. He averaged nearly 14 points a game, shot 45% from three, and now headed to the Indiana Pacers. And after that, the 55th pick, it says the Los Angeles Lakers, but actually Lachlan Ulbrich has been traded here. This pick is on its way to the Chicago Bulls, Jonathan.
Malika, Lachlan Ulbrich, strong, tough, skilled Australian big man with strong ball handling ability. Score inside the paint, can push off the defensive glass. He has good vision as a passer. He just won an NBL championship with the Illawarra Hawks this season. He had a great series against the Melbourne United. Now, finding more range as a shooter, proving he can defend the position, that'll be important for his NBA career. He's going to be on a two-way contract. But, Malika, just a word on Talon Peter, who the Indiana Pacers just drafted. Wasn't in my top 100, wasn't invited to Portsmouth, wasn't invited to the G League Elite Camp, wasn't invited to the NBA Combine. But here's his name called at 54, led the NCAA in true shooting percentage, 33 dunks, tremendous athlete. This is why the NBA draft is beautiful, because you hear guys like Talon Peter hearing their name called in the draft also.
Jonathan, I'm so thankful you shared that, because those are my favorite stories in these NBA drafts. We'll be right back.
Wait, come back! Wait, come back, I need more help. Take a long laugh and take a love for free.
Today we went to the beach, and it was totally worth it. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western.
Hey, Damson. Have a good drive today.
Have fun driving, Damson.
Fastest stop in sports, 3 letters. Wow.
All right, guys, we're at the 56th pick, and we are almost done. Lachlan Ulbrich went to the Chicago Bulls.
The meticulous, uncompromising.
We'll be right back until 56. This will probably be the last break, so we'll have 4 picks, 4 or 3 straight picks, and maybe another break. I don't know. This is probably the last break. 43 seconds. It's the Celtics. It's Memphis, Celtics, Cleveland. This will be Cleveland's second pick. Rockets.
Your boys on. I need Oh, great. Thanks, baby. You're welcome.
From Brooklyn. Also, what you need to see from that heated end of series between the Cubs and the Cardinals. And SVP, he wraps up its 10th season with a special edition of Boo or Woo, all of that and more on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt after the draft next. Our Shams Charania has news on this next pick. What's up, Shams?
We're still working through it right now, but this pick is actually in talks to being traded. We'll report back when we have more.
I'm going to come back to you in just a second. We caught Shams working in real time here, Brian, trying to see where this pick could be headed. At least right now, the Memphis Grizzlies have this pick. But a couple of picks ago, we saw the Indiana Pacers on the clock. And Indiana made a move in the finals. It didn't seem like that big of a deal, but it became a bigger one after an unfortunate injury.
The Pacers are preparing to re-sign Miles Turner, and they were facing potentially going into the luxury tax for the first time in 20 years. And so I think they wanted to clear out some space. They traded away this year's first-round pick. For next year's first-round pick, they got their pick back, and that really takes on extra significance because of the Halliburton injury. We're not sure where they're going to be. And I will also point out, they made a trade yesterday for the 38th pick in this draft, which they used on guard Cam Jones, which potentially could help fill in some of the space that Halliburton leaves being injured.
Again, initially they had that number 23 pick, but now they get their 2026 pick back that could be incredibly valuable. All right, Shams is ready. Shams, what you got?
Malika, so I'm told this pick right here is not going to be Memphis's at 56. It's going to the Golden State Warriors. They're looking at several players. Florida's Will Richard is one of the players that the Warriors in their draft headquarters are looking strongly into. 59 now will go to Memphis.
59 will go to Memphis. Shams, thank you. We should mention there are only 59 picks in this draft because of a tampering penalty for the New York Knicks stemming from Jalen Brunson back in 2022. But this pick is on its way to the Golden State Warriors. Let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Tatum.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Phoenix Suns are trading to the Golden State Warriors the draft rights to Alex Tui, the 52nd pick. With the 56th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Will Richard from the University of Florida.
Richard, let's go.
Will Richard, part of the highest scoring trio in Florida history, Jay.
Started his career at Belmont, transferred to Florida, and he's a versatile shooter, a catch-and-shoot guy, but also really good as a straight-line driver and an excellent finisher around the rim. Shot about 70% at the rim. You would call him an off-ball scoring threat, but he also gets steals. He's a good defender, solid, and made 83s this last year, shooting about 37% from three.
Scored a team-high 18 points in that national championship game, 14 of which came in the first half, so really got them off to a good start. So just to reiterate, we have the Golden State Warriors at 56. Now it is 57, the Celtics, 58, the Cavaliers, and 59, the Memphis Grizzlies. Picks fly in the second round. Bob, why do you make a move like that if you're the Warriors or any team when you're looking at these late second round picks that fly around a whole lot?
Well, it's changed. I mean, it used to be you had to roster guys, and Bobby and I talked about this. These are, I don't know this, but I think I know it. These are two-way contracts being given out at this point. Teams are calling these agents and saying, if I draft him, will you sign a two-way? If the agent says no, a lot of times they say, well, we're going to draft somebody else. And Bobby and I spoke about that.
And you saw it last year with Golden State when they drafted Quentin Post, and they had him on a two-way contract, and then they eventually converted, and he certainly played well down the stretch of the season.
You mentioned earlier wanting to explain, just reiterating what a two-way contract exactly is. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, 15 players on the roster. You're allowed to have a two-way spot. They would count as spot 16, 17, or 18, maximum of 3. roughly $600,000 salary, which is a nice little bonus. You're not eligible for the playoffs here, but you can get converted during the regular season.
And it does allow you to control the player. And that's why you see teams jumping around here, because when the draft ends, your ability to get these players, it's a free-for-all. And the draft doesn't end, Malika, when our draft ends. They keep going, because a lot of players that didn't get drafted tonight are very attractive still to teams. A lot of those guys will go on two ways as well.
With the two-way, basically, it's a dual contract, which means you're going to spend most of your time in the G League. You can spend, what, up to 50
games.
50 games.
When we saw last year, Justin Edwards went undrafted, went on a 2A, and then eventually had his contract converted by the 76ers.
And then you're right, the draft does continue in a sense after we sign off this evening. That's when agents are on the phone talking to different teams about which players they might want to join as a undrafted player.
A few years ago, Lou Dort's phone rang shortly after he didn't get drafted. He's now a champion and a key player for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And there are several players who have that stories. By the way, Lou Dort will be joining NBA Today tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern.
All right.
You can hear from him, and you can hear his story about going from undrafted to a champion. And so often we see those players wear that as a real badge, as a part of their journey. So now, again, it is the Golden State Warriors 56, the Celtics at 57, and the Cleveland Cavaliers at 58. I'm keeping notes as we go. Let's send it back to the podium.
There we go.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Los Angeles Lakers are trading to the Chicago Bulls the draft rights to Lachlan Olbrich, the 55th pick. With the 57th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Max Shulga from Kyiv, Ukraine, and Virginia Commonwealth University.
Max Shulga from VCU. He averaged 15 points and just under 6 rebounds a game, Jonathan.
Malika, he was the Atlantic 10 Player of the Year. He led VCU to the NCAA tournament. He shot 39% for three in his 5 seasons in college. I'm told that the Boston Celtics are going to have Max Shulga on a 2-way contract last year. He's 6'5.5". He can play with the ball. He did a lot of playmaking for VCU, and obviously an outstanding shooter. We're going to see in the G League, if you can guard his position, if you can, he's going to be an NBA player.
On his way here to the Boston Celtics for that development. Thank you so much, Jonathan. This has been an emotional night here in Barclays Center.
All right, one more commercial break. Promise. We're at 2 hours, 22 minutes. Already for
Sarah? Give me those. Okay. Go. Maybe. The
All right, Ron,
Draft.
last two
It's the
picks, and then
Cleveland
I'm heading
Cavaliers
off.
that are on the clock with the 58th pick, the second to last of the evening. Let's send it back to the
The
podium.
MOP, that's
With the 58th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Saliou Niang from Dakar, Senegal, and Italy's Trento Club.
last
Saliou
player.
Niang, the penultimate pick in tonight's draft. I loved Saliou, who is Senegalese Italian. I loved what he said in his statement declaring for this draft. He said that he wanted to take a moment to look back on the kid who fell in love with basketball, and he's still fueled by that very same passion today. He won the 2025 Italian National Cup and was the 2024-25 Italian Lega A Most Improved Player. Jonathan, you've noted that he has really had this impressive trajectory.
Malika Saliou Niang is from Senegal, but he's been exploding the past few years in Italy. He's 6'9". He plays on and off the ball. He's probably one of the best defenders in this draft. You can put him on point guards. You can put him on power forwards. He's got a great motor. Think of a Senegalese version of Ron Holland. He did a little bit of everything for Trento. I'm told that the Cavs are going to stash him next year with EuroLeague team Virtus Bologna. Great place for Saliou Niang to develop, and we'll see if he can develop the outside shooting to become an NBA player.
Jonathan, thank you. And now he's with our Monica McNutt.
Saliou, congratulations. We understand that you are someone who is mindful to reflect on the journey. What are you saying to your younger self now that you've been drafted into the NBA?
Yeah, thank you for believing in myself, do my job, keep working, and yeah, so happy. This is a dream come true for me. So yeah, now I just keep going, keep pushing to try to get in the league.
Congratulations, Saliou.
Thank you.
Monica, thank you. I think that really is tremendous, Jay. This is only the second year that we've had two nights of the NBA draft where players have come in a second night to sit through several picks to wait to hear their name called and to be on the penultimate pick and to hear your name. I mean, that's got to be an incredible feeling.
It's just great that he's here.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes when you refer to a draft and stash player or something, they might not be here, but it shows how meaningful it is to
2
be
hours,
drafted into
30
the
minutes.
NBA.
It's not something to take for granted. Kendrick Perkins was sharing yesterday how he wished he showed up at the draft, not being guaranteed to be a top pick, and he didn't do it. And he wished that he sat in the stands, even if he wasn't invited to the green room, and made sure that he had his moment with the commissioner or deputy commissioner to shake that hand. And I just applaud, Bobby, every young man who came tonight, because it's putting yourself out there, and then you get to see moments like this.
Well, it's a great story. I mean, we saw it last night in the first round, the emotions of each player and each player's family. I think we learn a lot about him as a player, but I think it's more important we learn a lot about him as a person.
And now the final pick of the 2025 NBA draft is upon us. Let's send it back to the podium now.
Before I announce today's final pick, I want to congratulate all these young men and their families. Thank you to ESPN for broadcasting the second round of the draft, and to our partners around the world for your continued support. And thank you to all of you, the NBA fans watching today. We look forward to the start of NBA Summer League in Las Vegas on July 10th. With the 59th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Jemai Mashak from the University of Tennessee. Good night, everyone.
Mark, thank you. Jemai Mashak out of Tennessee, member of the 2024-25 SEC All-Defensive Team, who shot 45% from the field, and he is the
It
final
was good
pick
talking to you
in this
guys.
year's
We
draft,
ended
Jay.
it on a good
Southern
note.
California kid. He was all CIF. You know how hard it is to be all CIF. You got to be a stud to be all CIF. But Jemai Mashak is a really good defender, and I'm not sure there was a player in the country that played harder